All right, so I'm excited to have Hollie Kitchens with us today. Hollie Kitchens is the founder of Lady Legend Boutique, as well as the co-founder of Women Elevation and out of North Dallas, Texas. Thank you for being here today with us. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. So I love to ask this question as we start every single time with our guests here. Championship leadership, that's the name of the podcast. What comes to mind for you? What do you think of when you hear championship leadership?
So, like, when I think of championship leadership, I always think of the quote from Dwight D. Eisenhower. It's leadership is the art of getting someone else to do something you want to do because he wants to do it. And to me, I feel like quality championship leadership is someone who is inspirational, motivational. It's a grower, somebody who's coachable, but also has enough authority and enough, drive in them to help lead people with them, but also understanding too. It's like, knowing that aren't always right. It's open to being wrong and cultivating that community and that kind of environment so that your employees or your tribe or whoever it is that you're leading feels comfortable and confident and trust you as a guide, but then also know enough to intervene when they need to and say, hey, here's my 2 cents, or, things like that. So that's what I feel like would be a championship leader in my definition of it.
That's great. That's incredible definition. I love that answer. And I think of what I heard in there is a leader that's really secure enough to allow their team or those that are following them to do the job that they're responsible for, and also to not have to always have the answers is kind of what I heard you say in there. Like, it's okay to not know it all, right? And I think there's a lot of power inside of that. And especially when you open that up to your team, that they're like, man, okay, yeah, my feedback is important. It's needed. It's relevant. And, just because he's the leader doesn't mean that he has all the answers. Cause I think there's a lot of insecure leaders out there that want to hold on to all the control. They don't want to ever look like they don't have the answers. And it's just, it isn't a very, great. It's not a great environment to be in when you have that type of a leader. So yeah, that's beautiful. So how have you taken that and put it into what you do? And maybe you could tell us a little bit more about what Lady Legend Boutique and Women Elevation is, and how you strive to show up as a championship leader.
So, it's always about growing. It's always about getting better. It's always about having an open mind, knowing that it's not a destination. You're never going to arrive at being the best version of yourself. So to me, with Lady Legend Boutique, it's a boutique to inspire other women who, just unleash your inner legend through style. Create confidence with your style, create confidence with whatever you're wearing. And then, as far as Women Elevation, so Tracy Cousineau and I had attended a digital marketing event, and we were in the line for the restroom, and we realized that our women's line was a lot shorter than the men's line, which is crazy because usually it's the opposite.
Right.
And it kind of was an eye opener moment where we're like, wait a minute, like, why aren't more women at these events? Like, there's a bunch of badasses that we know that should be here that aren't here. Like, come on, girls, let's get it together. So we kind of, from there, we had a cocktail hour afterwards, and we sipped on some good cocktails, and then we kind of brainstormed, like, okay, what can we do to kind of empower women to come to these events, or kind of take our information, share it so that they feel inspired to attend these events, and just knowing that it's okay just to go solo or whatever. So we created a group. It was originally Rockstar Boss Babes, and our goal was just to empower, to create and help them with tactics, with strategies, but then also just kind of, be there whenever somebody needs somebody. And we had in our event, it was like a weekend retreat. It was amazing. Lots of tears were shed. Lots of, people were like making decisions like, okay, I need to let this person go, or I need to fire this person. So it was just kind of like a lot of like journey discovery within that group. And from there, we we attended that event again this year, and we were talking about it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we got to do more than this. So literally she did a post with a story and said, join us. So we went from like, I think it was earlier this year that we went from, I want to say like 80 people in our group to now we have over 2,300. And it's just an amazing community of women just empowering each other, being there for each other, you know, asking advice, whether it be personal or business. And then there's just so many people there that are willing to give. So yeah, we're focused on that and helping people and offering what services we can do and what can we do to help them get them closer to where they want to be in business and in life.
And so that's Women Elevation, right?
Yes.
And what happened to Rockstar Boss Babes? That sounds like an amazing name.
Yeah, it is. And you know, I'm just, rock genre is my type of music. So it was a great name, but I just feel like the name, like the term Boss Babes was just like, there's just a lot of groups out there, and we wanted to kind of differentiate ourselves and create like a separate group from that so that people don't get confused when they try to search for us. And I'm sure too, if you Google it, like, it's not women empowerment, it's some other things that show it too. So create like a good universal name that it was easy to share and easy to connect with.
Okay. Well, that's great. So Women Elevation, you went from 80 to over 2,300, which is incredible. What's what kind of group is this? Is this like a free Facebook group? Is this a coaching group? Is this, go ahead.
So Women Elevation in Facebook group, it's a free group. The only thing is you just have to be a lady to join. So sorry, Nate.
Dang it.
You won't be able to join. But if you do know some stellar business women, definitely send them our way. So it's just a free group, whether you're owning a business, whether you're thinking about starting a business, maybe you work for another person, but you just have that passion to create that, you know, amplified workplace. You don't have to necessarily be a business owner. You just got to think next level and be a grower, really. But we definitely focus a lot on business, though.
Well, and how did you build it, right? When we come back to championship level leaders, you know, that's what it's all about. It's getting, you know, leaders really someone that has the capability to create a following, and 2,300 members inside of this group in a short period of time is definitely falls into that place of, you know, to go from 80 to 2,300. There's obviously a great message there. There's obviously a great place for these women to come and to bond and connect and to learn and to grow. What are some of the ways, take it from the vision that you had, which I'm sure has changed over time, right? From the first time that you talked about this, even the name has already changed. You've grown and you continue to level up, if you will, and stay ahead of that curve. But yeah, what are some of the things that along the way that you, as this championship leader inside of this group, inside of this powerful movement, I would say even, right, to really grow that?
So I think first and foremost, it's checking our ego at the door. Tracy Kuzner, she's amazing icon when it comes to the real estate industry. And, you know, it's knowing people, like seeing people like her, seeing people like myself, and having people, you know, just be examples. We don't like sit there and outshine, or we don't sit there we're not braggadocious. It's literally leading with ourselves first, and being that example and saying, okay, well, we're not going to be here to cause drama. We're not going to be here to, you know, judge other people. We're going to be solution oriented. This is a community where, you know, you can come in and it stays in this group. Whatever you say, whatever you feel, you know, we're just going to try to find your solution. Or if you just need an ear to listen in, we're here to listen for you. But I think it comes back to, you know, also, you know, back to the championship leader definition. It's knowing that we're not always right, and we'll post, you know, we'll ask questions, or we also give advice too. So it's helping cultivate that community of what we wanted, right? We wanted to be there with other women that we could sit there, cast ideas off of. And we're not trying to be like extra feminist. We're not trying to say no boys allowed, but it's really like, I feel like if women collaborate together and they're mature enough to not to really see that community over competition wins every day, We just, we try to go, and I think in the next couple of weeks, we're going to go to Austin and then turn around and go to Vegas. And we're just always looking to grow and get better. And we just will love to share that with other people who may not have the opportunity just yet to do those kinds of things. So I think it's just all about giving. It's all about being grateful. It's coming from a place of abundance and not scarcity. And really just being real. I think that just, that's when we saw the significant growth. It was, first off, we didn't really spend a bunch of time, energy, and effort into it. But when Tracy posted her personal story, like, it's not like like a princess happily ever after story. It's real, It's raw, just like a lot of us have. Like, we all have a story. And it's like letting our guards down to be okay with accepting our story. And then how can we empower other people to get to where they want to be by sharing their story or by listening to other stories. So that's just really, I think that's if I was to contribute the growth so quickly, it would definitely just being the example and just being the person that we would want to be with, right? Like the group that we want to be in.
Yeah. So, Tracy, she was at the Ryan Stewman $1 Million Mastermind here maybe a month ago, I suppose now, or maybe a little bit more, but she shared her story from the stage, and it's an incredible, powerful story. And, not only from her story and just her ability to get up there and to really share it. I don't know if she had really done it to that level. I think she even mentioned that, this is kind of the first time that she'd really came in front of 400 or 500 people on a live stage and got so real with people on that story because it's so powerful. But also just all the other speakers, the theme was that we all do have a story. And, I even catch myself like, I'm included. I have a story. And a lot of times I will devalue my own story, right? And I think a lot of people tend to do that, men and women. And, we, as a coach, we have a men's program, we have a women's program. We have 14 powerful women coming in here in just 2 weeks to California, a very intensive immersion type program. And they all have stories, and they're starting to open up and tell them. And many of the conversations are, I've never said this to anyone, and they're talking to right now complete strangers because they haven't met in person, but they're really getting to know each other and bond through telling that story. And I can imagine that same thing is really what's helped to grow your group, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, we all have a story, and it's you might not think, because to us, like, for instance, for me growing up, I was raised by a single mom. There's 4 of us kids. We at one point lived in low income housing. She did the best she could. I mean, single mom, 4 kids, no dad in the life. Like, it's crazy, but that was normality. Like, that was I don't even know that's a word, but that was normal for us.
I like it.
Growing up, right? Yeah. Like, that was normal. And it's funny because, like, when I share some of this stuff, even my stories, it's like my friend Sarah looked at me. She's like, you should like write a book. Like, that's crazy. So it's like, you never know who you're going to impact or what story you tell that like makes a difference. Like the other day I posted on Facebook my story of, becoming a teen mom and being a teen mom in high school. Like, I had my son when I was 17, and, I was just like, kind of like, I don't know, I had it on my heart to kind of share it. It was graduation time. Like, hey, I feel you, sister, if you're out there and you have a baby on your hip, like, I've been there, like, congratulations. So, and I just shared that story of like, hey, here's to the naysayers. Like, you never know who they're going to blossom to be. And I got so many people messaging me directly that was just like, I can relate. And they also, some people also posted directly in that post too. It was like, I can relate. Like, that was me, or I totally get it. I used to get in fights at school. So it's just like going through and just telling people like, hey, it's okay to go through what you're going through. Just know that this is a season, and know that like what you're like, the person or the choices that you're making back then, that was you trying to survive those circumstances. But it's like acknowledging that, and then how can I become a better person, and how can I be better so that my kids don't go through that, or so that, my husband doesn't experience the same, heartache or whatever the case may be. But it's just self-awareness, self-discovery, and self-leadership. It's just a bunch of fun stuff.
Yeah, that's powerful. To be able to share that. And it makes me think of my mom, right? She wasn't 17, but she was much older than that. She was 19 when she had me. And when we don't share our story, we really are just robbing others of, impact in something that could really help them to make a shift in their world, because we're holding on to it. So it's almost like you're doing a disservice to everyone else by not sharing your story. And I think if you can think of it that way, it might help some to really, share more. Not as a like, look at me or woe is me. Like you said, it was just a norm for you. And then others would be like, man, that was your normal. And just to appreciate where others come from. And that sometimes also it's like, well, it could be way worse for some of us when we get in those places of like, woe is me, or, life is so hard. And you can always look around and find somebody that's going through something a little bit more challenging than you. So, which can help lift us up. But
yeah, and I really think too, if you take your sharing and share with your story and share with other people, also telling them like, hey, your story isn't who you are. But the thing of it is like, don't create that victim mentality. Like, we've all been through stuff, but here's what I've been through, and then this is what I've learned, and then this is how it's made me a better person. Like, I just got done speaking with someone, being a guest on another podcast, and we were talking about like, being a teenage mom, and to me, I was 17. I mean, I was a child trying to raise another child. And I was very fortunate in the community that I lived in. It's a super small town in Oklahoma is where I'm from. And there's so many people like willing, like I would literally open the door and there would be like a box of like diapers or a box of clothes. And like, to me, that was so impactful because at that moment of time, I did need the help. And I did accept it. So it's okay to accept help. But then in my head too, like today where I'm at with Women Elevation, with Lady Legend Boutique, with the podcast that I've recently launched, is just always think, okay, so how can I give back? Because I was in that moment of time when I needed help and so many people showed up. How can I take that and give it back at tenfold, right? So it's just always about like learning, okay, got it. So I've been through this. And what did that mean? Okay, I've been through this. And then a lot of people showed kindness, showed support. So now I need to do the same thing to other people. I maybe not need to be judgmental. I need to help somebody out instead of being, negative or whatever. So it's taking your story, really evaluating it with a mature mindset, and then understanding, okay, so what can I do to make the world a better place? Or at least even if I can impact one person, like that makes it all worthwhile. So it's taking your story, sharing it, and then giving those lessons learned, and then hopefully inspiring other people to do the same thing.
yeah, I think that's really the key, right? To not only to go through those times, but also to extract those lessons and to help it to move you forward, right? And maybe even potentially move others forward as well. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because that's probably the most important step, is not to just have the experiences, because we all have hard times and a lot of us will stay stuck inside of those because you can't see the lesson or you can't see the gift inside of that. And sometimes it's hard to find a gift when things are when you're at rock bottom, or when you've been dealt a poor hand, instead of trying to make something out of that. But yeah, to find those lessons and to share those is the powerful piece. And where did you learn that? Because that's not natural. And I think when we talk about leadership, you can definitely talk about, you can become a better leader. You can learn how to be a better leader. And I think we should always be trying to learn and grow as leaders, as people, as business owners, as moms, as fathers, as husbands, as wives. It's always important to continue to learn. But I also think there's a piece, some great leaders they just have something just natural or innate in them that they were blessed with. But yeah, where did that come from for you? Because I know that was a learned thing for me, because I didn't always look for or find the lessons and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I knew, like, when people would give me things or support me, I understood that, like, okay, I need to do this, whenever I had the opportunity to, but I didn't understand it in that kind of a level. And I really think the game changer for me was, it was funny because, after high school, I a year and a half, and then I realized it wasn't paying the bills. So then I started banking. I worked at a bank, and then got into real estate. It was funny because I remember saying to the loan officer that I was assisting with, I was like, I will never be a real estate agent. Like, those people are crazy, because we deal with some crazy people. But then lo and behold, guess who became a real estate agent? Me. So never say never. But yeah, I think what really helped me was the leadership in real estate. So I was super fortunate enough to my one and only broker was Jay Kinder. And if you guys haven't heard of Jay, definitely check him out. But literally, I was talking with my friend Kat, who was also an agent at the same time. The leadership on the team with Jay Kinder and then John Kitchens, was phenomenal. And I think before working there, I didn't read self-improvement books, or I didn't read personal development stuff. Like I guess I never understood, you know, coming from a small town, population 1,300, you know, I kind of like just, hey, you read like, you know, what's ever in the library or whatever. And the book that really changed the course of my life and my thinking was Darren Hardy's Compound Effect. And that was like one, like Jay used to do, they were called EGS, Exponential Growth Summits. It was a huge event, and we were super fortunate enough to go there. And it's just Jay's leadership and his fearlessness, and, you know, John's too, was like changing the way you're thinking. Like, you know, in the office, if we ever had a problem, we couldn't come to John unless we had 3 solutions. So it was like being in that kind of environment, like we had to be problem solvers, like we had to be always consuming in personal growth. And I think that kind of opened my mind to, okay, I'm not a victim. You know, I took my victim glasses and put them into accountability glasses. And that's what we'd always do too, is like, you know, you'd come in and you'd be complaining about something, and you look over and there's Jay or John doing this.
I love it.
Like, okay, I got that. Okay, I got it. So, you know, just being around that kind of a leadership had inspired me to take it to the next level and become the person that I am today. So kudos to those guys.
Yeah, you know, it sounds like they created an incredible culture, right? This culture of winning, of learning, of growing, of self-accountability and responsibility. Like, just don't come running to, if you don't have an answer, just don't come running to the leader or the owner or the person above you that you report to look for the solutions. Like, come to the table having put some thought into this so that we can all actually maximize the amount of time that we have and create solutions. And I'm guessing what happens from that is you're like, all right, I got to come to Jay or John with this, but I know they're going to ask me for 3 solutions. So you think of 3 and you figure it out on your own, and you don't even go and see them. Right.
Yep.
Yeah. And it just smooths out the process, which really, because I'm sure, you know, just like your time is valuable, so is theirs. And it's just, again, takes it back to, you know, putting some accountability and responsibility on everyone. And then I'm guessing that's why they flourish so much, because everybody rises together faster. And so,
absolutely.
So it sounds like you've had, that was a great, that experience. Are you still with them, John?
Yeah, I'm actually, so I do event coordination with the Jays, you know, NAEA's National Association of Expert Advisors.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like to this day, I mean, I'm actually, you see my last name Kitchens, I'm actually married to John now.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's my husband. And it's funny because, like, yeah, it's just funny, like how it all works out. But yeah, like still working with those guys. Jay is, work with him still and doing events, and he's definitely, him and his wife Amber are definitely my top 5 of people that like I want to associate with, because they're like literally had that much of an impact on my life, and they're just amazing people.
Yeah, so that's awesome. So you've had a great system to model. Again, I think taking into what you're growing now yourself with Tracy, right? In women's elevation.
Yeah, you know, it's great because, you know, like they did it with NAEA, which was for real estate agents.
Yep.
So seeing them and being able to be a fly on the wall, like create that community, create that tribe, create that, you know, like, and how they did it is they are real, they are open. They just like, hey, you know what, like we're going to be guinea pigs. We're going to test this. This is what's working that we're actually doing. So it's like, got it. Like, you know, taking that and then, you know, extracting it and putting our own way in it, you know, and finding a way to disperse it to other people too. So it's definitely had an impact on moving forward and where we are right now with Women Elevation.
I love it. What's and you've already, I believe, talked about a few, but who are a few people in your life, you know, maybe outside of Jay and John, that are really true championship level leaders that have crossed your path, that have impacted you in one way or another throughout your life, that come to mind, top of mind?
So definitely top of mind was going to be Brian Moses. So he's another real estate coach, and he definitely had I think the biggest impact, and there's so many with B Moses, but the biggest impact that I had with him was just coming from a place of love. So understanding, like, so that's helped me kind of like understand like that thinking that's out here. Who else? Alex Pioch, Sarah Pioch, like they're best friends. They're amazing people, always looking, grow, and get better. Tracy Cousineau, Jason Williford, amazing people. And it's funny, like I would also throw in there Maury Showakey. So Maury, it's funny how I got connected with him. So Maury is Damon John's right-hand man and president of retail for him.
Wow.
And I was at Digital Marketer, and at the time I was with I was doing a home staging. So it didn't mean much to me at the time. But on stage, Damon had said, if anybody needs sourcing for whatever, hit up my man Maury. And then he says his email address. So at the time it didn't mean anything. But then when I started launching my boutique, I always ask myself, okay, so what kind of access do I have to, like, what can I consume right now that's relevant to where I'm going? And of course, Damon John, obviously the FUBU, that was going to be one of the lessons, one of the sessions I went back and listened to. So luckily Digital Marketer didn't cut out the recordings. So I plugged in my headphones, and then at the moment he's like, reach out to Maury if you want to connect or whatever. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have no business reaching out to this guy because like, I'm not feeling like, like I'm not like Forever 21, or I'm not these big or Old Navy. I don't need it on that kind of a level. But I was like, you know what? This guy has so many values. If I can just get 30 minutes of his time, I've learned is like literally if you don't ASK, you don't GET. So I reached out, and there's so many different ways you can spell the guy's name. And I finally got his email right, because I always get like these bounce back emails. So like, it was literally like, I can't remember what, but just say, hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm trying to accomplish. I would love if you had any moment of your time just to kind of give me feedback of what my next step should be. And lo and behold, I get a response from him. It's like, sure. Like, I've got 30 minutes to chat tomorrow at like whatever, 10 a.m. And like, I'm like, are you kidding me? So like, I'm like, like stomach's all like crazy. I'm a little nervous. But Maury was just so, like, his story is amazing, how he made a deal with Damon on Shark Tank, and now he's working like as his right-hand man. So anyways, connected with him. He was amazing, and just stayed connected with him. And his things too was like, Damon John had gave me a chance when I needed a chance. So now I'm going to pay it forward. I'm going to take it and be able to help someone else out too. So yeah. And, I've had some coaching sessions with him, and he's just good people. Always connect with him if I'm in the area, or if he's in the area, we always try to meet up. So that's definitely another person I would say that's super influential and super like, dang, I got to hang out with these people because they're on another level.
Yeah, that's incredible. And there's a lot of power there in, just asking and reaching out. And like you said, I mean, what's the worst that can happen is they're going to say no, or they're not going to respond, or they're not going to give you your time. But the best case is that you can really learn from some people with some incredible experience and incredible knowledge and wisdom to help you to where you want to go. And so, what is it? I introduced you, founder of Lady Legend Boutique, and we haven't really touched on that at all. Like, where are you going with that? Give us a little more background around that, how it started maybe, and what the vision is for that.
So, being in real estate, I think really unleashed my like inner entrepreneur. Like, it really helped me understand like, okay, like I want to own a business. I really want to do this. And then of course my goals has changed. I'm no longer a real estate agent, with family and everything. It just wasn't where I wanted to be. So I was at a point at thinking like, okay, I want to start a business, but what can I do? And to me, it's always like, I always listen to music, because growing up, like we didn't have a lot, but we always had the radio. So like, we'd always like listen to music, and just, I don't know, we always had, like, me, my family, my siblings, we all have a love for music. And I'm not musically like talented. I can't sing. I can't play an instrument. I can't do anything. But it started out with, I was thinking at the same time, I also had this thought in my head thinking like, what am I going to wear to my next concert I'm going to? So I started a boutique for concert goers, and I personally loved it, but it was, so for me, like, I didn't really dial in the product specifics. I didn't really dial in everything, which, and a lot of people that I know, like, they don't go to heavy metal concerts. They don't go to rock shows. Like, they're school teachers, or like, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm always like the odd man out when it comes to stuff like that. Like, so, talking through them, they're like, man, I really wish, like, I love your stuff. It's just not for me. Like, I wish you would open up that. So like, I'm like, got it. So I that kind of evolved into Lady Legend, because, for me, it's like, okay, I wanted you to look good at a concert, or I wanted you to feel good at a concert. So now it's like, okay, cool. Now I'm going to take it as a lady legend, and you're going to unleash your inner legend through style. And I'm going to help you like find your style, you know, whether this is your style, this is your style. Let's collaborate and let's do this thing. So like, it was literally like the best decision I ever made, because, you know, like with Maury, what he had said is too, is like, if there's not a market for it right now, like change it. It's okay to change stuff. Like you only sell what sells, right? So it changed it to Lady Legend. Still love clothes. I still love, you know, every day. Like, I don't go to concerts every day, so I'm not going to wear this clothes every day. So
Right.
it was still a cool way that I could like, take it and evolve it. But then it also made me think too, more purposefully too, is like, okay, so what can I do from this as far as a content standpoint? Because my husband's always like, okay, you got to get a coach. You got to get a coach. Like who's mentoring you, who's coaching you, whatever. And before I connected with Maury, I connected with, I can't even remember the name of it, but it was like an e-commerce coaching platform. And the
Okay.
guy that I spoke with, he's like, hey, this is a cool thing, but what are you doing differently than Amazon? Like, what are you doing differently to build that community? And it all goes back to community, which is like, you know, women elevation community. So I started thinking in a different level of like content wise, like how can I attract these people and how can I do it differently? So recently launched Unleash Your Inner Legend podcast, which, you know, we had Ryan Stewman recently on there. It's an amazing episode. And he talked about like, you know, going through dark days and how to, you know, overcome all that. But it's funny because it made me think like, okay, yeah, it's a boutique. It's for clothes. It's for women for clothes. It is what it is. But what can I do differently to make it, you know, give back, to make it more impactful so that people understand and remember, oh yeah, I'm going to buy from them. It might be a couple more dollars more, but you know what? Holly has a good heart and good passion for helping other people and things like that. So I just want to kind of create and always give back. So that's kind of how it's evolved to where it's at today.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. And being different. Yeah, that's a great question of, you know, how are you different than Amazon? You know, at the same time, I feel like that's an easy question to ask, but it's an important one, right? How can you separate yourself and create a community or create massive value and give back? So that's incredible. And again, that's championship level leadership, I think, that you talk about when you, especially here on the show. So what are one or two things that you could leave with the listeners here before we wrap up that, you know, I think the audience here, entrepreneurs, people that want to grow, they want to level up, they want to get a little bit better. They don't want to settle. You know, men, women, we have all kinds of listeners, but definitely more entrepreneurial like yourself. And, again, yeah, just not average, right?
Yeah.
Not comfortable being, not wanting to settle for complacency, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So what are one or two things that you could leave with them as we wrap this up?
Man, a couple of things is for sure. It's just like, just do whatever you're passionate about and go for it. I know a lot of times, and myself included, like we don't do stuff because we tell ourselves some stories in our head of what ifs, or, you know, what if no one likes it? What if it doesn't happen? So it's like one way that I've learned to block out like all of like the naysayers or the haters or whatever. And like, there's actually not that many out there, but you think in your head, like,
Yeah.
what if it is?
Yeah,
But it's
absolutely.
it's always thinking like, okay, I'm always asking myself, the feedback that I'm getting is like, are they coming from a place of love? And Brian Moses really helped me with like that distinction. It's like, okay, so like if they're not coming from a place of love, I feel bad for them because they obviously don't have enough love in their heart to give out.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally just write it off. So it's like, whatever. So like that's automatically like dismissed. And then also, you know, just go for it. If you don't ASK, you don't GET. Like I said earlier, it's like, you never know what's going to happen if you just do it. Like me and my friend have a podcast, and we've been able to interview like international musicians and big timers and connect with crazy, awesome people because like we have no fear of like reaching out. So like just be intentional. Don't be selfish, be intentional, and you never know where it's going to go. So yeah, that's what I got.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I love that message. That's great. And yeah, I found that myself on my podcast as well. I have nothing about making a request to get someone on the show. And just like when I saw your post, you made the request. You made a post on Facebook looking to get out some shows, and I wasn't afraid to put my hand in the air and get you here today. So
yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've enjoyed the time, and thanks. We had a little bit of technical difficulty beforehand, and she was great in working with me to be patient with that. So I appreciate that. How are some ways that women out there that want to be a part of this incredible community you have, Women Elevation, and or how can they find out about Lady Legend Boutique and anything else that you get going on? You have the podcast as well. Yeah, let us know.
Yeah. So podcast is unleashyourinnerlegend.com. That's where you can go through and subscribe on your favorite platform, or even just listen to it there. And then Lady Legend Boutique, obviously you can just find us on the social with that handle. Also, we have a VIP just group for ladies, just to kind of chat and see what style you're looking for and things like that. So just Lady Legend VIP group. And then lastly, for Women Elevation, it's just Women Elevation Facebook group, and it's free. Just apply or hit join group, and we'll definitely get you guys in there. And it's just an amazing community that we have got going on. I'm super grateful for all the women that's in there.
I love it. Thank you. And we'll get that added, of course, to the show notes. I appreciate you being here and taking time out of your day. Thank you so much, Hollie.
Absolutely, Nate. You have a good one.
You too. What's up, everybody? Championship Leadership Podcast here. Nate Bailey, the host, leader of the show. And as always, before we get into our guest for today, if you could share the show, if you could link and comment on it, or like and comment it, share it, give us reviews on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, 5-star ratings, all the like. It helps us to grow and to spread this message and these incredible conversations, these powerful women and men that I'm interviewing and have the opportunity to have great conversations with, and just appreciate it if you could help us to spread the word as well. So if you could do that, I would really appreciate it. And thank you in advance for that. And then with that, I'm excited to introduce Hollie Kitchens. It's a small circle that we live in this world today, right? Small world. And there's a lot of connections that we have that we didn't realize until we really got started talking on the show. But she's the founder of Lady Legend Boutique. It's a business of hers that she started, as well as co-founder of an incredible group of women, a private Facebook group, an incredible community called Women Elevation. So definitely check those out. But with that, I just had a great time with Hollie here today, and I hope that you enjoy.